Humanity's greatest challenges rarely come with warning signs. They come disguised as comfort, disguised as habit, disguised as sweetness, and one of the most dangerous among them is sugar. When we speak about the consequences of not controlling sugar intake, we are not merely discussing diet or preference. We are confronting a fundamental matter of human health, a reality that hides in plain sight. Sugar, though small in quantity and seemingly innocent, carries with it the potential to disrupt the remarkable harmony within the human body. The body, as I have always believed, is a system of extraordinary precision. Every cell, every enzyme, every hormone is designed to function in concert with the rest. Yet, when we expose that system to constant, unregulated doses of sugar, we begin to interfere with that balance. The process is slow, almost imperceptible, but it is relentless. Over time, the body's mechanisms for maintaining stability, its ability to regulate blood sugar, to store and release energy, begin to falter. This imbalance sets the stage for what medicine calls metabolic syndrome, the early warning signs of deeper dysfunction. It begins with fatigue, a creeping sense of low energy, the subtle rise of blood pressure. Then come the more insidious effects: damage to arteries, resistance to insulin, and the gradual destruction of the body's natural defenses. Many live for years unaware that this process has begun. They attribute their tiredness, their mood swings, their weight gain to stress or age. But beneath those explanations lies a chemical truth. The body is fighting to correct an overload of sugar it was never designed to handle. The second dimension of this problem lies in the cost of neglect. We often think of disease as something that happens suddenly, an accident, a diagnosis, a moment when health collapses. But the truth is more unsettling. Disease, especially in the context of sugar, is cumulative. It builds quietly. It is the result of thousands of small choices, each one inconsequential on its own, but together forming a chain of harm. The human heart, the liver, the kidneys, the nerves, all pay the price of this neglect. Over time, the body becomes less resilient, less capable of healing. The immune system weakens. Inflammation becomes chronic. What once was a healthy organism begins to age before its time. And this, I say, is not simply a matter of science. It is a matter of responsibility. But I am not one to speak of problems without speaking of solutions. The truth is that the power to reverse this course lies not in the hands of laboratories or hospitals, but in the hands of individuals. It lies in the small, deliberate choices made each day. Control of sugar intake is not an act of denial. It is an act of respect for one's body and future. When a person learns to limit sugar, they are not restricting life. They are extending it. They are allowing the body's natural intelligence to work as it was meant to. Small adjustments, a mindful meal, a reduced portion, and awareness of ingredients can transform the trajectory of health. The challenge is not in knowing what to do, but in deciding that it matters, because the consequences of indifference are grave, but the rewards of control are profound. The cost of ignoring the harm caused by excessive sugar intake is far greater than most people are willing to imagine. It is a quiet, invisible cost that accumulates day by day, choice by choice, until one morning it stands before us as disease. Sugar seduces us with simplicity. It promises energy, pleasure, comfort. But what it delivers over time is fatigue, dependency, and decay. The tragedy lies not in ignorance, but in denial. We know more today about the human body than at any point in history. We understand the biochemical pathways of glucose, insulin, and cellular energy, and yet in our daily lives, we act as though that knowledge were distant, theoretical, irrelevant to us. We consume sugar as if it were harmless. But it is not harmless. It is disruptive. It alters the chemistry of life itself. When sugar floods the bloodstream, the body must fight to restore balance. Insulin rises to meet the challenge. Cells absorb what they can, and the rest is converted into fat. Over time, this process becomes less efficient. The body, exhausted by constant correction, begins to lose its sensitivity to insulin. Blood sugar levels remain high. Inflammation increases, and the machinery of life begins to falter. What follows is not a single disease, but a chain reaction. Diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver, cognitive decline. The systems that sustain life begin to fail in slow motion. And yet, because the process is gradual, we rarely notice it until it becomes severe. This is what makes it dangerous, the illusion of safety, the comfort of delay. The cost of this neglect is not measured only in medical terms. It is measured in moments of vitality lost, in years of energy diminished, in the quiet erosion of human potential. A society that consumes sugar without restraint is a society that undermines its own well-being. The productivity that we seek, the longevity that we desire, the clarity of thought that we value, all are compromised by this simple substance when left unchecked. The burden extends beyond the individual. It touches families, communities, entire healthcare systems. The treatment of sugar-related illnesses consumes vast resources that could instead be used to advance life, knowledge, and healing. There is a profound irony here. We spend fortunes searching for cures, for drugs that might reverse disease, yet we neglect the simplest prevention that lies within our reach. The discipline to moderate sugar is not complex. It requires no advanced technology, no scientific breakthrough, only awareness and will. It is a form of intelligence, a respect for the body's limits, and an acknowledgement of consequence. If humanity is to progress, not merely technologically, but biologically, ethically, it must learn that control is not repression, but freedom. The true cost of sugar is not in the price of food, but in the price of health. And once that is lost, no sweetness can compensate for its absence. The ability to control sugar intake is not merely a matter of diet. It is a matter of human mastery. It is the point at which knowledge meets responsibility. Too often, we think of control as deprivation, as the loss of pleasure or freedom. But in truth, control is liberation. It is the conscious act of shaping one's destiny rather than surrendering to impulse. The human body, in its extraordinary design, is capable of self-regulation, of balance, of healing. Yet it cannot do so when overwhelmed by constant excess. Every teaspoon of sugar beyond what is needed asks the body to compensate, to work harder, to process more, to store what it cannot use. Over time, those compensations become burdens, and those burdens become breakdowns. The power to prevent this lies not in medicine, but in mindfulness. We must understand that health is not something that happens by chance. It is cultivated through awareness and discipline. Just as a scientist observes patterns and corrects errors in pursuit of truth, we must observe our habits and correct them in pursuit of well-being. When we choose to moderate sugar, we are engaging in an experiment in longevity, one that tests not only the chemistry of the body, but the strength of the will. There is no external force that can compel a person to health. It must come from within. It begins with a moment of awareness, the realization that every choice carries consequence, that every act of consumption is a decision about one's future. This awareness is the foundation of control. Yet control must not be confused with fear. It is not an anxious avoidance of sweetness, but a wise stewardship of health. It means replacing thoughtless indulgence with thoughtful nourishment. It means choosing foods that sustain rather than deplete, actions that strengthen rather than weaken. The beauty of this truth is that it does not demand perfection. It asks only for consistency. One less spoonful of sugar today, one more deliberate choice tomorrow. These are not trivial acts. They are the beginnings of transformation. The body responds with gratitude, with balance restored, with vitality renewed. And when millions of individuals make these small adjustments, the health of entire societies can shift. This is where our power lies, not in the complexity of modern medicine, but in the simplicity of self-care. Science can reveal the mechanisms by which sugar harms, but it is human resolve that prevents that harm. Each of us holds the capacity to protect our body's harmony, to honor its intelligence. When we exercise that capacity, we move closer to the kind of world that values prevention over treatment, awareness over ignorance, and choice over consequence. The act of controlling sugar intake, then, becomes more than a personal decision. It becomes a declaration of respect for life itself. It affirms that health is not inherited, it is earned, maintained, and consciously preserved through the choices we make each day. The future of health will not be built in laboratories. It will be built in kitchens, in choices, in moments of awareness. One spoon less today could mean one heartbeat more tomorrow.